A car seat is the best way to protect your kids on the road, but buying one is just the first step. Strapping it in, making sure your child is properly secured can be confusing, so not surprisingly, many parents are doing it wrong. That's why this morning we brought in Clay Fire Marshal Dave Sharon. He's a local car seat inspector. Literally, people bring their car seats to you there at the firehouse, and you look at make sure they're doing it right.
Right. And the most common is them having the wrong seat.
Because like the wrong size of seat.
Right, because the packaging sometimes can fool you. It'll say like a 3-in-1 seat or a 2-in-1 seat, and people think, oh, I just need to buy that one, not realizing that the important thing is knowing the weight and the length of your child when you go to look for one.
Someone once said to me, bring your child with, because you can try out these seats before you buy.
Right, and if you're not sure where you're buying it, should have someone that's well-versed in what the product is to be able to tell you if your child's going to work in there or not.
So let's talk about the seats that you brought with us, a variety.
Sure. And what we've got is the weight limits on these.
Okay.
One of the ones that's confusing sometimes is this booster seat. Goes up to 40 pounds with a child wearing this harness and up to 100 pounds when you're utilizing this part along with the seat belt in the car.
Okay, so it depends on how you're using it.
Right. And then, of course, the backless booster, which is common this time of year. We get a lot of calls from folks that say, hey, can I bring my child in because they're getting tired of riding in that seat and everybody else in their class doesn't have to ride in the seat. But it's 4'8", and as you see there, that goes up from up to 57 inches and 100 pounds.
So you will know when your child is ready for that.
Right.
When they are 4'8" or a certain amount of pounds.
That's the age that they don't need to use that anymore. That's the height and. And the important thing with that is you set them in the vehicle seat all the way up against the back, and if their legs bend straight over the edge like yours do, then they don't need to be in that booster seat.
Until then, though, it doesn't matter what their friends are doing.
That's right. And then, of course, what's called an infant-only seat, which is pretty common, that carrier seat. And again, it only goes rear-facing. Most of them go up to a higher limit and start at a lower limit now just because of the size of children.
So there's no age limit specifically. You can switch over once your child reaches a certain amount of pounds?
Yeah, this one starts at 4 pounds and goes up to 35.
Okay.
Because, again, they know that kids are getting bigger and they're going to be facing rear longer. The one that we have in there is called the convertible seat, which because of its configuration also goes rear-facing and forward-facing. And since it's a bigger seat in structure, that means that it can stay rear-facing a lot longer when they want you to go up to close to 2 years. So
you're going to demonstrate how to make sure that these are latched in correctly. Sure. Show us how to do that.
Okay, the important thing is when you put your child in the seat before you put the seat in the car, and make sure if it's a forward-facing seat, in this case we're doing this, then this harness needs to be even with their shoulders or coming from just above.
Okay, good to know.
If it's coming from below, you need to then move the harness up.
How tight does this need to be? Because I like to...
Yeah, this just needs to be enough to where it's snug and to where it's called a pinch test. If I can't pinch any of this material, or I can't get more than a finger underneath here, this chest needs to be about in line with their armpits.
Too high, it could strangle them. Too low, it could have internal injuries.
And the fact that if it is too low, they could actually separate and come flying out.
Oh, gosh.
So, and again, you want to snug that up, but not like you're firing them off to the moon.
Okay. Good to know.
Vehicles since 2002 have had what's called a latch system.
That's
a lower anchor system. And all that is there's
a little bit.
There's a little anchor point that usually is found by looking at a little icon that's on there.
You just latch it in there.
Latch it in there on both sides. And one side or both will have a strap to pull.
How tight do you want it? Because my husband tightens this like he's sending them to the moon.
It's a safety device. And what you're trying to do is mimic how tight everything else is in the seat. So what you're doing is you're wanting this to be so that it moves no more than an inch at the belt path.
So really the tighter the better.
Right, and that's the important thing we're trying to stress to people, that this is a safety device. It's not just a comfy, cozy way to ride. And that's why one of the most important things we tell folks is don't buy a car seat from a yard sale or a second-hand store, because it'd be no different than if we told you we're selling you this car, but we're giving you a heck of a deal because we've put used seat belts and used airbags.
You wouldn't do that for yourself.
Right.
You wouldn't do that for your kid. Well, Dave, you've also sent us 8 specific tips that parents should know. We're going to post those online so that parents can check them out for themselves. Go to WSBT.com or our Facebook page. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Sure,
All
thank
good
you.
information, important stuff to know for people with children.
Thank you very much.
All right, Ed, back to you.